Now, this is actually my favorite part of Property Llama is this what if scenario modeling. Hey, what if we did this? What if we did that? Because as you go through the process here, people get realigned on their goals. They see their portfolio, they start looking at their properties, and they start seeing opportunities, and they wonder, how do I get from here to point A to get to my goals? And this is the power of Property Llama. So I've got the same condo pulled up that I reviewed in the previous video, and this is a paid off property, paid off condo with a very low return on equity. And this investor's goal is to go out there and get more properties. She is still in the accumulation phase, not in the income phase. And there are three typical ways out there, or three what ifs investors ask themselves. What if I just keep this property and pay it off? What if I refinance this property and pull money out? Or what if I sell this property and buy a new property? Well, Property Llama has those scenario modelings built into it. Now, in the previous video, we talked about keeping this property as a paid off property. And since it's a low return equity, it's a low performing rental, it's not a great long-term rental for this person to hold, but it doesn't make sense because this is not the right property for where this investor is in her career. She needs more property. She needs more future income to be able to retire one day. She's in the accumulation phase. And guess what? I asked her, I said, hey, do you have $320,000 sitting around? She was like, no, I don't. So this is her biggest source of cash right now, the equity in her property. So I'm gonna run through two scenarios on here, and I'm just clicking up into these three dots up here into the system. And refinance to buy a new property is the first one. This is doing a cash out refinance to buy a new property. So I'm gonna run this, and I can already tell you the numbers won't look pretty. So we'll say it's a 7.5% interest rate. And down here in our market, we can find a 7.5% cap rate property within a couple-hour drive of Denver. And I'm putting how much equity they're in keeping the property because they can't pull out 100% of the money. And we're going to talk about how much money they're putting down the new property. Again, don't get stuck in the details on here. I'm just kind of putting in current market conditions so we can go out there and analyze this what if model. Now you can see within a couple seconds, Property Llama builds out a beautiful scenario for us to compare before and after. So Property Llama spits out some great graphs and comparison charts. So I'm gonna start up here on this chart part, and it gives you different metrics you can look at. Again, NOI, or your future retirement income, is the one I focus on the most. So we have this blue line here, which is the current portfolio, which is just that one rental property, that current paid off rental property. So you can see the performance here. Then we have this red line, which shows the NOI goal of $120,000 a year, or that common $10,000 a month goal. This yellow line is the new portfolio, or the new portfolio we get by keeping the current property, pulling money out, and then buying a new property with that. So you can see here that one property you have, it actually never achieves the goal, which makes sense. We know it's producing $11,000 or $12,000 a year in NOI. They'll never get to $120,000. But through this, we can actually see, wow, you can actually get towards your goals. Now it's going to happen in year 22, but at least you achieve it. And this does some great modeling on here, and often shows people cutting down from 20 years to like 10 or 5 years. It's a very, very powerful way to visualize what this scenario modeling could do for you. And so come in here and play around with some other metrics on here and view it yourself. Now I'm gonna keep scrolling on down to the second part of the screen, and this is the comparison of your current portfolio versus what happens if we refi and buy a new property. So on the left here, we have this person's portfolio, and it gives a high level metrics on here. So this person is still in growth mode or accumulation mode. So we're going from a 7% return on equity to now about a 14% on return equity. So through this one trade up, we actually just about doubled their total return on their portfolio. That moves the needle. Now, the next thing I look at is cash flow. Now, this is cash flow today, and we're going from about $11,300 cash flow because it's a paid off property. But now we're going to a negative $6,000 in cash flow. Why? Well, it's because we're pulling money out of a poor performing rental property. So cash flow actually drops significantly. So now compare this to NOI. NOI is going from 11,300 over here to about 55,000. I want to pause for a second and walk you through what's happening here. So we're going from a paid off property to now using leverage on the current property and then buying a new property. So it's giving us a lot more future cash flow, which is phenomenal. And since we're using leverage, we're getting a much higher return on equity. But the cash flow today significantly drops. Now, are you fine with that drop in cash flow? Are you fine if it puts you into a negative cash flow situation? That is your call. I am not a big fan of having negative cash flow, but this is not uncommon, especially in the higher interest rate market we're in now. We actually see cash flow today drop some, but future cash flow go up. Now, this is where you can start working with your lender and your realtor to start figuring out, hey, what rentals can I buy? And what's the right amount of money I pull out or the right amount of money I put down to make sure your cash flow goals today are met while you're still increasing your future cash flow. So you can see here went from a 0% loan balance to about a 65% loan balance on the current property and the new property. And it gives you the comparison of, the year one's return on the 4 ways to make money in real estate. So you can see we about doubled that too, from about 22,000 to about 44,000. So very impactful. The last thing I like on here is it shows what your new portfolio looks like and actually allows you to save this scenario to your portfolio if you want to, so you can come back and revisit it. And also allows you to share this scenario as well, so you can loop in your spouse, your partner, and also your real estate investing team. Now, let's go back and run that third scenario of selling this property and buying a better rental property. All right, so I exited out of that model, and now I'm back on the property detail screen. I'm going to choose scenario 1031 and trade up. That means I'm going to sell the property and then buy a new property. I'm going to use the same metrics we did in the previous one. And if you don't know what 1031 is, don't worry about the details. It's just a way to help minimize taxes you pay today. But again, don't get stuck in those details. This is more for that financial modeling and conceptual shifts for what you could do with your portfolio. So again, the system spits out the graph here for how much quicker you can achieve your goals. Now we're at the NOI, which is my favorite graph. And we can see here that red line is the goal of 120,000 a year. This one move now goes from never achieving your goal to achieving your goal in about 17 or 18 years. So again, play around with that. But the power comes down to here in comparing this model right here. So we have return equity of 7% on the current portfolio. Now we're going to 18%. The previous one was a 14%, so we more than doubled and then some. Now look at the annual cash flow on here. The annual cash flow is actually increasing, meaning we're actually making more cash flow a day. Our cash flow is increasing by about 50%, from about 11,000 to 18,000. So again, more cash flow a day is always nice. But here is what matters the most. The current NOI or future income goes from $11,000 to about $68,000. Now, for example, selling this property, selling this condo, we're probably buying into a fourplex or some small multi-unit to give you a frame of reference for what this person is buying on here. But don't get stuck on the details. Focus on the impact it has on the numbers. Now, $11,000 a month, hey, I will always take $11,000 check a year. But if we talk about $68,000 in future retirement, this is life-changing. This helps you retire early. This helps your spouse retire early. This pays for 1 year college tuition, or maybe in 10 years, it pays for a month of college tuition the way things are going, right? But my point is here, this is where we got to look at the massive future financial benefits we're getting on here. And you can see the massive swing we're having on here. So again, I'm sharing this with you so you can do some high-level modeling and start mentally going through this what-if scenario and seeing some numbers on here. Now, again, if you like this, you can come down here and see how this property is performing. You can save it to your portfolio, and you can also share this portfolio as well. And if you wanted to, you can even have all three of those side by side. So Property Llama gives you so many powerful benefits to help you model it, but the most importantly, be able to marinate and then share it with your team. So in the next video, I will dive into details for creating your portfolio architecture plan so you can actually get your plan on paper and then start looping your team to go into details and really determining what the right steps are for you. But the goal of this video was to help show you the power of Property Llama and then give you this powerful tool so you go on there and start doing, what if I did this? What if I did this? Because before we actually go out there and make moves, we have to go through these mental paradigm shifts yourself. So you can say, oh, I get this. Oh, I see what these people are doing. And moving this equity around, moving what I call stale equity around and keeping a high return equity, this is what all these super successful real estate investors are doing. This is like the quote unquote secret they're doing to go out there and grow massive 8-figure, 9-figure, 10-figure portfolios and help them achieve their real estate goals. So I can't wait to see you in the next video and go through the last step.